Hello, and welcome back to Therapist Plays Disco Elysium. So today's episode, not quite as lighthearted as some of the more recent ones, unfortunately, but a very important point to bring some psychological discussion to. Today we're going to find the spouse of the gentleman we found at the docks and inform them of his passing. And this is a very challenging scene to talk about for a number of reasons. Not only is this an important point of development for Harry's character, but it also hits kind of close to home for a couple of other reasons. I'll let that commentary speak for itself, but either way, I hope you enjoy this somewhat somber episode. So let's jump in. Hello. Okay. I do not expect this episode to be particularly joyful because, yeah, we're going to be following up on the gentleman we found at the docks. Curiously, we already did this. We already returned to it. Guess this hasn't updated yet because what we need to do is first check the call the Jamrock Public Library, and we're going to try to find his spouse and break the news. So yeah, I don't expect this to be a very joy-filled episode, let's say. But that's okay. Sometimes life's like that. And we'll muscle our way through. Okay. I believe since we're at the church, we should be able to travel to Martinez. I guess the only way to do the phone call is through Kim's motor vehicle, I think. Call the Jamrock Public Library. There's a payphone here. Maybe we can... Or no, that's not a payphone. I don't know. Let's try the car first. Find some way to call the library.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glove.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you?
Okay, this is really more the radio.
In the cabin, you...
So maybe we do use the payphone.
A metal payphone under a yellow plastic dome. There's life is garbage.
Okay, so we're too traumatized by the payphone. How do we call the public library then? Call Jamrock Public Library. Well, maybe what I should do is pick up some mag. I should blast some healing powers here. Pick up some magnesium from old Fritta Girl. She's just here day in, day out. For a fucking thing.
Is this about the questions again? Because I don't really know anything.
She's expecting us, our daily check-in with Fritta Girl. Oh, I guess I click here to buy stuff.
A colorful display.
Again, I'm obliged to inform you that both alcohol and cigarettes damage your health.
No, we don't want that. I need magnesium.
A small cabinet on the wall is filled with various medicine bottles, nasal sprays, and blister packs.
Take some
They
Hypno
all
Gamma.
bear
Okay, here. I hope Saint Baptiste makes you feel better or something. Okay, here. I hope Saint Baptiste makes you feel better or something.
I'll take some of that
Okay,
too,
here.
just in case.
I hope Saint Baptiste makes you feel better or something.
Okay. We just needed to stock up there. Okay. How the fuck do I call the library? Maybe we can check in on old Gart and give him his bird. Maybe he'll let us use his telephone or something.
Can I help you?
Garth, I found a new bird for the whirling.
What is this thing?
It's no biggie. I just thought it would look nice on the wall. I'm that kind of cop.
What, the interior decorating kind? You know, I'm sorry. This is actually a nice bird. A competent piece of taxidermy.
Thank you, Gart.
I can fix it to the plaque and have a new bird in the establishment, I guess. So, I don't know. thank you. I'm gonna go with thank you.
I knew you were a softie underneath
Just
all that.
don't know how to accept gifts, especially taxidermy. He likes it. He likes the bird. It solves his broken bird problem.
That's what we are. We're a problem solver.
This was mostly about the fucking cardio. Massive cardio here. You live till 90, or you get a heart attack from running.
I feel good about our work here today. It's all about the little things, like bringing people random stuffed animals.
You know, Kim, while I agree with you completely, and I appreciate your sentiment, he is oddly choosy about what he considers to be the little things. So you're cool with me bringing Gart a fucking bird, but you don't really care about stopping
It's not actually about that.
the fucking youth from starting a new drug operation in Martinez. I got your number, Kim. Still love you. We all have our areas of special interest. Okay, so I just, after stumbling around, realized that I just didn't see that I have already clicked this. So I just came back and realized, yeah, I can just connect to them here.
Hold on, officer. I've got Central Jamrock Public Library on the line, and I've already introduced you to their librarian. Connecting the call in 2, 1.
Yes, this is Central Jamrock Public Library here. How can I help you, officer?
He sounds worried, yet ready to assist. This is how people get when the police call.
I'm looking for any information that you can provide me on Billy Mejean, a reader.
Billy Majon, you said. Give me a moment, I'll have to check our database.
On Moreau Drive in central Jamrock, in a darkened hall lit by orange desk lamps far away from the noise outside, a middle-aged man taps commands into an old radio computer. A printout falls on the desk. Behind him, a lonely reader scours some dusty bookshelves, looking for a paperback.
Good old Shivers, filling the silence with some world building.
Yes, hello, are you still there? I found Billy Majon's home address, is that alright? No phone number, unfortunately.
Yes, that's all right.
They're too poor to have a phone line.
Yes, home address is fine.
Here we go, sir. Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 33B, apartment number 20. It's in Martinez, I believe. Capeside Apartments, it says. That's all.
That's where the smoker on the balcony lives, isn't it?
Okay. Do you have any other information on Billy Mejean?
It says here that they returned their last book just a few days ago, but I wasn't at work that day.
Do you know someone who has?
Marie? Marie? Do you remember a reader named Billy Majon? They returned a Tybalt book the other day. Yes, it was my colleague Marie. She said that it was Billy's husband who returned the book. He also asked for this new sci-fi release, Lowe's Radio City 87, but we don't have it yet.
Good. You have a name now.
So Billy Mejean is a woman, not a man. How did your colleague know that it was her husband?
Marie knows Billy. She's been working here longer than me. Sometimes her husband returns some books for her.
So Billy Mejean is the spouse then?
And then goes for a little drink later. On the lookout.
Do you know the husband's name?
Sorry, no. Marie only knows him by sight.
Can Marie describe to me what the husband look like?
Marie! She said it was an older man, and that she's pretty sure he'd had a drink or two the last time she saw him.
What was he wearing?
1 second.
My brain turns away from the phone again.
Sorry, Marie wasn't really paying any attention to that.
Thank you. Very helpful librarian. Thank you, that's all from me. I have no other questions.
Happy we could help. Goodbye, officer.
The librarian hangs up the call and gets redirected back to the station with a soft click.
Anything else you need from me?
No, that's all for now.
Over and out.
In the cabin, you see a set of steering.
Okay, so I guess we're going to go to the apartments now and deliver some unfortunate news.
A weathered brown door. The number reads 20. The lieutenant motions to you to go ahead and knock.
Okay.
This is the door. You already know it's the right door. This is going to be so hard.
Okay. We are going to prepare a little bit for this, and we're going to need maximum empathy. Which means I need my suit of empathetic armor, probably. Oh, whoops. I guess I had that wrong. The suit of armor makes us less empathetic. Do we have any empathy boosting equipment here? We've already got some empathy... something. Pop those glasses on. Those are empathetic. Suggestion's been pretty helpful in some of these cases. Of like the last encounter with the kids on the ice. Of like, hey, this is how to play this. But I'll trade an empathetic waistcoat for a suggestive naval coat any day of the week. Okay. I think that's all we really wanted to do there. Oh, pain threshold. Yeah, this is gonna be painful. I don't know if it'll help, but certainly make us look at least... Oh, look, we're even color matching with... Maybe we should put the sword away. Maybe going in with the sword and the flashlights probably. We're trying to be sensitive here. Pippin hat. The biker cop sunnies, I mean, they don't like look particularly empathetic. Sunglasses, like obscuring some of your own emotion, which would impair your eye contact, but I guess that one doesn't really make sense to me. Do we have a better hat that we can put on? Or maybe just no hat. I don't know. It's okay. This is okay. All right, let's ask him what he thinks about how we should handle this.
A weathered round door. The lieutenant motions to you. This is the door. You already know it's the right door.
What should we expect, Kim?
You're right. Let's talk this through.
He looks at the apartment door and lowers his voice a bit.
We have our first preliminary identification. In all likelihood, the deceased is the husband of Billy Mejean. We need to confirm this, as well as deliver the death notification to Billy herself.
Yes, that's
Now,
true.
Delivering a death notification is never an easy task. There's a reason why it's often called the most stressful part of our job. This is why it's usually done in pairs. You got this. I'll be monitoring reactions, ready to act if necessary.
Thank you, Kim. I appreciate this support that you're giving me. Let's walk through some of this dialogue before I talk a little bit about my related experience to things like this, which is not one-to-one, but I do have some commentary. Do you have any advice on how to tell her he is...
Dead? Just don't say that you know how they feel. You don't.
That's very true. Should not say that.
Good advice.
What if I don't want to do this? Makes sense for us to be a little hesitant.
Yes, it's hard. But there is no easy way to handle this information. It just has to happen, as soon as possible.
Okay, we're not going to bail out. I'm ready. So, here's my personal parallel to this. I have not had to do something like this. However, there have been situations where I know that I'm about to be sitting down with someone who has very recently lost someone and may have just learned that their partner has passed away that very day. That has been the case for me, of being one of the first people to talk to someone who is at the nearest moment of like learning that sort of information. And it's incredibly tough. Like, yeah, I had a similar feeling to Harry where I was just like, what am I supposed to do here? What am I supposed to say? How am I supposed to navigate this? And what is the, like, okay, there's a human component to this where it's like I want to be able to connect, you know, with this person on making them feel like they have someone to talk to in this moment. And then there's the professional side of me, which is like, okay, trying to understand what's important for this person to feel and do in this case. And it is not to pacify them. A lot of times the human in us, like that sense of like relatability or pain that we feel when someone is suffering, is to comfort and soothe and to pacify. Like we have a very naturalistic instinct to say, like, you know, it's going to be okay, or I'm so sorry for your loss. Exactly like Kim says, it's very bad to go with this approach, but I understand why people do it. And they say, you know, I know how you feel, right? All of these are coming from that more humanistic side, where we feel very uncomfortable when people are suffering generally. Um, and there's been many times where I have, let's say, not been the person communicating it, but I have watched this happen, where someone is overwrought with emotion, and in this case, grief. Um, and people's instinct is like, you know, like I want to give this person a hug. I want to soothe them. I want to like make them feel okay. But like that's not needed, nor is it necessary in this case. The professional side of me steps in to say the priority here is that you hold space for what they need to feel. And by holding space, I mean that you are not trying to navigate them away from this feeling. You are potentially trying to navigate them from feeling worse than they do right now. Like if the person suddenly becomes, you know, so distraught that they become a danger to themselves or others, sure, maybe you want to navigate them out of that. But if the person is grieving and they're suffering, you're not trying to make them feel better either. Let's say that instinct to pacify and to soothe, um, it's not really as beneficial as our instinct tells us sometimes. And so I have been in that situation where, you know, you're one of the first people that someone is talking to after they've lost someone very close to them. In this case, it was a spouse, and one of the hardest sessions I've ever had, for sure. It's not a typical session. That the clinical priorities of, like, you know, working on emotional processing and behavioral modification, like, they're not at the forefront there. What Kim is talking about, when people say, don't tell them that you know how they feel, that's typically what we think of as sympathy. Sympathy to me is let me lend you some of my emotion. My emotion is I've had a similar experience, or I'm sorry for you. I'm starting from my emotion and I'm lending it to this person, and that motion of transfer of emotion starts with me, and why it does not land super well, because the focus should be on the person who is grieving. Empathy, to me, the way I have described it is, let me borrow some of your emotion. Like, I'm not assuming perspective from what I feel at all. It's to ask, what is it you're feeling right now? And you know, that can range from, I'm feeling worse than I have ever felt before, or I feel nothing, because the shock is so impactful. But again, your goal is not to curve them away from either of those things. It's sometimes just to say, like, that's completely understandable. It's okay to feel that way. Not to tell them, oh, well, it's going to get better. Not to start telling them, yes, when I lost someone close to me, this is how I felt, and here's what I did. Like, you're really taking the focus off of them. You're starting to lend out your emotion in service of theirs, when what you want to do is borrow their feeling, and just hold space. Like, give them attending behaviors. It's eye contact. It's reflecting. It's validating. and it's letting them know that this can take as long as it needs to, and that you don't have to solve this right now. I think that for a lot of us, we try to think of grief and loss and some of these like really difficult subjects like depression in a very intellectual way sometimes, and we try to like figure out what you're supposed to do with this experience. Like, how am I supposed to grieve? How am I supposed to feel? What do I need to do to move on? Like, these are a lot of the questions that come up in grief counseling. And to me, they register as very intellectual ways of dealing with problems, which is like, it's quite functional. It's like, what am I supposed to do with this thing? How can I rework it? How can I reframe it? But here's the thing: emotions, and especially emotions of loss, are not always intellectual. You know, I think of some of the smartest intellectual people of all time. You know, there's been lots of great authors, for example, you know, David Foster Wallace, Ernest Hemingway, Hunter S. Thompson, and more recently, Robin Williams. Incredibly intelligent people. And yet you can be pushed to a point where like you cannot intellectually think your way out of a crisis of depression or a crisis of any sort of mental health situation, right? That's not the kind of perspective we use to get out of those things. And it's not a solvable problem. Like, no one in the history of the world has solved how to properly grieve, how to properly, you know, get yourself out of depression. We have ideas, we have methods, we try things, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. Those ways are always better facilitated when you have an empathetic person or people who recognize, you know, what you're feeling, and you're able to hold space for that, or when someone reaches out. And even then, you know, it's not a guarantee. So that's what I think of when it's very easy as a clinician to get lost in that frame of mind as well, to think very intellectually about things. And I do think that detectives, potentially those who have higher leanings in this upper category, may have a similar instinct, right? Like, they solve crimes, they solve problems, they think logically about everything, and this is totally not a logical thing. Loss. There's no perfect solution to this. There is no way to solve it. That's not the proper verb to use. So the virtues that I've always relied on are patience and empathy, and not holding on to expectations about like how long the grieving process can take or what it should look like. What I have seen is that after that initial conversation, I was able to continue doing therapy with the person, and then we can start to process and understand what the grieving journey might look like over time. But it's not the moment of starting that journey is not the time to like make a treatment plan about it, or to start saying, here's how we're going to get you out of this. Like, that instinct to want to pacify and make a plan, like it's all very intellectual. So that's our goal going into this, is to just hold the space for Miss Mejon to feel what she needs to feel, and to not let our own perspective try to override that, as in lending out our emotions. So let's see how it goes. I think I'm ready.
The lieutenant motions towards the door.
Knock.
Hello? Who is it?
Look at the lieutenant first.
He gives you a short, encouraging nod.
Thankfully, we have Kim here. who has, to my understanding, more protection from his own emotional vulnerability than we do. I think we're much more likely to sort of break down in this than Kim is, but he's here for us in strength. Is this Billy Mejon's home? This is the police. Please open the door.
The police? A moment, please give us a moment.
There's fear in her voice.
Come in, the door is open.
Oh boy. Okay.
It's you from the book stand. Did you come to bring my cockatoo back?
She smiles nervously before the smile vanishes from her face.
I don't think I introduced myself properly. I'm Billy. Would you like something to drink?
She looks around the kitchen.
Tea, lemonade?
Oh,
We're out of coffee.
The lieutenant has taken off his foggy glasses and is busy cleaning them in his handkerchief for now. You're on your own here.
okay.
He must feel vulnerable without his glasses. Is this why he's letting you take the lead?
Thanks, but I'm all right.
Is this about Victor, my husband? Is he in some kind of trouble again? I can come pick him up in the station if that's what.
She stops, her eyes trying to read answers from your face.
No, this is something much worse. Is he in the hospital? How bad is it?
How about some small talk before you break the news?
No, I don't think that's a good idea, Rhetoric.
Definitely no small talk. This isn't the time or place.
Yeah, thank you, suggestion. God, it's so interesting how the priorities of Rhetoric are, this is to self-soothe us. We're starting to feel tension. It seems. This is the intellectual side of us, right? The intellect wants us to, it's telling us that like the way to do this is to disarm them with small talk and maybe lower the intensity of the conversation, but suggestion, a more empathetic parallel is like, no, that's not really the time or place for it. It's so interesting. Once again, exactly kind of what I was talking about.
It's like ripping off a bandage. The least painful way is to do it straight away, without stalling.
Empathy, impossible. Tell her about the dead one. 97%. This is fascinating. So we're maxed out on empathy. Our empathy's at 10.
You've done this before. Just keep your focus.
Ma'am, I'm very sorry to say, but your husband, Victor Mejon, was found dead on the Martinez boardwalk.
What did you say?
A great and terrible spike. The blood freezes in her veins.
Your husband, Victor Mejon, is dead. I'm very sorry for your loss, ma'am. I'm very sorry is leaning more towards like, yeah, it's obviously my emotion that I'm sorry for you, but I think that this is also just part of what's necessary to say. But as our dialogue continues, I want to see more of a focus on her rather than that I'm sorry.
Oh.
She touches her neck, eyes pale like pearls in seawater. What a fucking sentence that is. Beautiful writing for something so sad.
Oh. But he was just...
She looks at the kitchen table where 2 cigarette butts are still in the tray.
But he was just here. Alive.
We understand this comes as a huge shock. I want you to know that me and my partner are here for you if you have any questions. Take your time, ma'am.
Solid, Kim.
What happened to him?
She turns to you. Her neck and cheeks are covered with red blotches. Her double chin is shaking. It was an accident. He fell through a hole in the boardwalk and hit his head. Yeah, I don't think it would be appropriate to try to leave details open. Just tell her what we know.
Was he drunk?
Do we know that for sure? We don't know that it is absolutely for sure that that's the reason why. I'm leaning here. I don't want to leave it open. I guess it's really this. It may have played a role, yes. She and I both understand that that's part of what Victor was struggling with.
I see. And you just found him there, lying in the cold. How long had he been there?
If you say 2 days maybe, it will be etched in her mind forever.
This is a common experience of mine as well. In people speaking about grief and counseling, it is the details of how someone was found and what happened to them that tend to be a big part of the traumatic experience. Yeah, empathy recognizes that giving that clear information may make this more difficult for her. What I pick up from this is like, you know, she's what's distressing about this is like that he was alone for so long. I think this leaves it too open and this is too specific. Maybe this is the option. It couldn't have been long. Kind of saying like we found him and we came right here to tell you. That's not technically true. We went on a couple of side quests first. Yeah, it couldn't have been long.
She blinks, eyes welling up with tears, as her hand starts searching for something from the pockets of her dress.
Here.
The lieutenant takes out his handkerchief and offers it to the woman. She nods and slowly wipes away her tears. Is there anything, anyone we could call for you? A friend, a family member, someone who could be here for you? So yeah, this is borrowing from her, like what, asking for what she needs, not assuming I know what she needs and saying, trying to pacify that. Don't worry, I'll call someone, but is there anyone I could call?
No. I just need to tell my girls.
Oh no.
It burns like acid.
God, should I call them? Should I tell them to come home?
No. A day.
Yeah, we should not be doing that. No, take a day to recover. You'll be better prepared when they come home tomorrow. Yes, that's how I feel.
Good. That's probably the right thing. Thank you.
She nods, but with a wretched expression.
She can't take much more. Her stomach is churning. Soon she will have to go to the bathroom and scream.
Just tell me, what do I need to do next? Where is he? Can I see him?
We've taken him to the city morgue. The local coroner will be contacting you shortly to arrange the funeral. Here's his number in case you want to contact him earlier.
I appreciate Kim's approach. It's very objective. It's very open to giving her resources, but again, not trying to pacify.
Is there anything else that the RCM could do for you?
No, I'll call you if something comes up. I'm still...
She rubs her face, runs her fingers over cheeks that have become numb.
Thank you. Thank you for telling me. I'll call if...
She runs out of breath.
These are her last reserves of strength. Her muscles will give in soon. Already, she starts to shake.
Again, I'm very sorry, ma'am.
We should step outside and talk.
The lieutenant nods at the woman, then looks back at you. Set the library card by her and leave the room. Sheesh. Not easy. Not easy work.
You did well.
The lieutenant says, as soon as you've left the apartment, the balcony feels cool and quiet, with a stunning view over the district. So, I do think that Harry was able to handle it well like this. Now comes like, this is a big moment for us as a character, right? Part of us becoming a cop again and sort of learning like what the roles and responsibilities are we've been rejecting a lot of we're the law, we're the authority, we're going to abuse this power, and leaning more into like, okay, it's our job to keep the peace, yes, but not at the cost of people's dreams and their sensitivity to things. But is it believable that we could feel this? I could have done more. We do still have a pretty low self-esteem about ourselves. And having done so much wrong, it feels natural to feel like, insecure about the quality of the work we're putting in. So let's see what Kim says if we say this. Maybe he will have some insight for us about like, no, you did enough. It's not our role to step further in this.
You did enough.
I knew it. He pauses, rubbing his hands together to generate some heat.
Can save the whole world, you know.
Thank you, Kim. What now?
I'll call the station when we're finished with the day and let them know the name of the deceased.
What about Billy and her kids?
They'll manage.
They have to. It's not your place to live their lives.
Man, and does that hit me so fucking deeply, because I always feel this right here. Right fucking here as a therapist when I have these really challenging cases. Whether it's someone who recently lost a partner, I have done cases where I'm working with a mother who recently lost their newborn child. I always feel this, like, and it's always someone close to me who reminds me something similar to this. That look, you're crossing their path in a certain capacity, and what you're doing for them is helping them process things, and you always want to do more, but sometimes you also have to like step back and see that that's just not your place. I have a hard time with that. I do. And I don't know. I think I'll always be figuring it out, how to be okay with that. That's it.
That's it. We should get back to our case now that our duty here is done.
Okay. This is closed then.
Let's go.
All right, Kim. Okay, Kim. After our phone call with our ex and after this, I need some serious work distraction. Let's get the flashlight back. Let's get the fucking saber back on. And let's get back to the case. The urge to dive deeper into a problem that feels solvable is so high right now, because this is one of those problems that is so unsolvable in terms of like there is no clear objective usually, and there is no clear ending to the solution. And despite feeling a certain kind of catharsis and accomplishment when things go very well, part of many professions in the helping role, whether it's detectives or therapists, is you're gonna have these cases where you just don't get a clean sense of closure, and you kind of just have to be satisfied that you did enough, and try to live your own life too. So it's not easy, but it is important. Well, this hit a little too close to home for me, this episode. It's reminding me of a lot of times where while I feel grateful to the people I've had the opportunity to work with, that I was able to do anything at all to help them. It does bring up that, like, man, it just doesn't, it never quite feels like it's enough. We'll have things to work on, right? So let's figure out what we're gonna do next here. Let's go determine where the shots came from. We'll head back to the church here and explore the coast for some new evidence, which we'll do next time.